How you doing, everyone? Welcome back to NRL Fantasy Analysis. We're going to be going through the trades heading into round 6 for the 3 teams, People Squad, the head-to-head, and then finishing up with my squad here. In this People Squad one, we made one trade, and we're actually able to double loop. So I'm going to explain that to you. It's actually really intricate, and there's a lot to think about, and it's something I actually learnt this year. And just wanted to say a big thanks to a couple of people who have pointed out to me, especially early on in the season, and we finally get another chance to do it. So thanks to Luke Skipper, who reached out on Facebook DMs and has been able to help me with this over the last month or so. And hopefully I can show you how to do it as well, because it's actually really really smart and intricate there. And holding 3 teams here can be hard to work out a lot of these things with all the videos and stuff. So thanks to him for helping me out. So People Score, we had one possible trade out this week, and that was Jeremiah and Nanai. And we need a mid cover, so we just did it. We pulled the trigger. Nanai to Davy Moale. Not a super exciting pick for us. If he continues to get bigger minutes, he could make some cash, probably get some time over the Origin period with Cam Murray out and things like that. So we bring him in now. We're going to hold him probably up and through that Origin period and see what happens. So in terms of the squad here, we have 2 guys out. We have Vailea and we have Payne Haas. So the theory here is to do the double loop, you have to have someone in your starting squad, to actually fulfill this properly. If you went them in 3 and 4, you could have your guys in 5, 6, 7, 8. And if they play, early in the round, you'd pop them in 5 and 6, for example. If they go well, you leave them there. So you leave everyone else there. If they don't go well, you can move your 7 and 8 into 3 and 4, for example, and get those loops. But the way to do it here is that you actually get a little free crack there at everyone. So the theory here would be, if we have May, right, as our cover for the center position. So Vailea, you see here, if we look through all the numbers here, we got hooker, half, mid, half. So our first center, if Vailea is not going to play, if May does well, we just leave him there, right? And what happens? Well, we can't move him anyway. We'll get his score in the center position. So think about that. May goes to center. Awesome. If he doesn't go well, all we have to do, so if he has a shocker, if he gets injured, right, we're most likely going to play Taylor May. He would be in that center position. But if he goes really poorly, gets injured, sin bin, whatever, if he gets a 25, for example, all we have to do now is move Ewan Aitken, who's in number 8, up into the center position. So trade them out straight. They obviously play for the same team, so they play at the same time. Hardest thing in this situation, normally, if to be able to do a double loop, you wouldn't be able to do it if Warriors played in the first couple of games. It would make it too hard. So because they play later in the week, which we'll get that up in a second as well. We'll show you where all the teams play. We're able to do that. So Taylor May goes big. We leave him there. Awesome. Okay. What we could do there is, so we could swap Aiken into the Vailea position, right? If May goes really big, awesome. We get his points. We obviously want Aiken's points. We would just swap Aiken up into Brodie Jones or Kelma Tuolangi. So whichever one we decide to not play this week, I'm probably thinking playing Jones instead of Tuolangi. They come up against a harder squad, which we'll have a look at in a second. They both play at the end of the week. So Knights, so Brodie Jones comes up against the Dragons. So I'd probably play him over going Tuolangi against the Eels. I think that's going to be a tougher outfit. So that's how you do that. May goes big, you leave him there. You move Aiken up into one of those positions. May doesn't go big, you then move Aiken into the Vailea position. So it's really a free swing at that one. In terms of the second loop, because Payne Haas plays earlier on in the week, then Lockie Ilias, for example, you want to loop Lockie and you want to loop Walters. So easiest thing for that one is just to leave Ilias in the number 5. If he plays well, then in this one it doesn't really matter, unfortunately, with the. Sorry, 1 second. So this does work perfectly. So Rabbitohs play tomorrow night. If Ilias plays well, awesome. We leave him there in that position. Broncos play the next night. So Ilias stays there. We would get his points if we like what he got. If we don't like his points, we could put Walters into the 4. Or we could put the other guy, whether it be Tuolangi or Jones, which probably Tui will say, we could put him up into the 4 position and move Haas down. Right, so it all gets found out tomorrow with Ilias for that one, and it all gets found out on Friday for the May and Aiken one. So really, really cool that you can really get the points for any of these players in your 8 heading into this round. So that's very, very interesting. Anyway, hope that helps. If it wasn't sure, if you're not sure on that, go back and watch that again. and continue watching that going forward if you're looking at how to do a double loop. But it only works, obviously, if it sets up right. The guys you want to see how they go, they play early in the week, and the guys that you're using to loop play a little bit later, like Violea does. Anyway, we got 27 trades left now, 280k in the bank to update, players next week, whether it's, one of these, higher cash cows, whether it's an injury, whatever we want to do, we can move things around and do that next week. But we've got plenty of good players. We've got Cleary as captain, Hines as vice. We're set up pretty well. It's just the Davy Mwale and I suppose Stephen Crichton that the ones we probably worried about a little bit. Other than that, team's looking good. Move on to the head-to-head squad. And I actually decided to make 2 trades this week and leave a fair bit of cash in the bank. So I had 2 options. Let me know in the comments what you think I should do in this one. One was just to keep a fair bit of cash remaining and actually bring in Ruben Cotter. The other option, spend all the money and leave 30k in the bank and bring in Isaiah Papali'i. That's my thoughts at this point. So I've traded out Stephen Crichton for Talatau Kula. Theory is here. Crichton's pretty much peaked. I can use his money to get a guy that's going to be a little bit more consistent going forward. Crichton's done really well, but he's served his purpose. Let's say that. As I've been speaking about, he's pretty much a hold, but if you can do him out and improve your team in other areas, I wanted to make sure I could play a good mid, for example, this week, and for someone I think could eventually become a keeper and make a bit of cash along the way in Cotter, or bring in an Isaiah Papali'i. Both were an option for me. You bring in Kula. You don't have to play him next week. He's just playing this week, and following week we get Taylor May's dual position, and we can send him down to the wing fullback position. There's really no one else that I wanted to trade out in this team. I think a lot of these guys are keepers or they can make some money. So I can definitely hold trades over the next few weeks. The theory with Cotter, if he continues to average 50, which he's averaging 53 right now, he will end up being a 700k player. You get him in a dual position. I could wait a little bit longer on Papali'i to pick him up. He's not going to gain too much more cash from here. Maybe an extra 20 at max to get to about an 850. But he's not an urgent priority. I'm probably going to get 10 less points with Cotter, somewhere around that point, but we can make a little bit of cash, and that 266 I could use to get Papali'i next week. If there's an injury or something like that to a gun, I could use that straight to get to him. I could upgrade, a couple of these other guys. It just leaves a few more options for next week, and that was the theory behind that. And the biggest issue here is captaincy this week, whether I go Nicho Hynes or I go Damien Cook. That was my thoughts. I wasn't exactly sure on this one going forward. The big worry here for me is just that I have too many decent, I feel like decent scorers on the interchange and emergencies. I'm thinking about, potentially looping. I'm probably going to have to loop I will have to loop Ilias actually. So I'll move Ilias up into 5 because he plays before the Broncos there, just to be able to have that option there. So Ilias will go into number 5, and probably won't be able to cop Hetherington's points, to be honest, which is interesting. I suppose scary. I think he's going to score pretty well this week, but if he does, then my team's going to do well. But Ilias is going to be there in number 5, and then I suppose it's going to be my theories if I play Hetherington or play King, and King's been dominant, so it's probably better to play Maxi at this point. But that's the team. So we're sitting well at 310, and I thought I could make 2 trades to get down to 26 remaining, leave that extra cash in the bank with Ruben Cotter, and potentially get to a Papali'i or go up to Cleary or DCE or something like that next week. That's my theory going into this one. Hopefully hold rank or somewhere close to it this week, and hopefully the Nicho or the Cook can do well without Cleary going absolutely bonkers for this team. Obviously I want him to go well in People's Squad, and we're going to see in my squad we've brought him in. Cleary is in. We've traded Jai Arrow up to Cleary in one straight foul swoop. Only used the one trade this week, 13k remaining. The team's looking pretty solid now. I'm really happy having Cleary as captain this week. It just feels like a little bit of relief that we can have someone that's really safe. Obviously, Nicho Hynes would be a good one. They come up against a tough team in the Storm. But I think this squad can do well this week. I am going to sit there with Nanai and hold on to him, and I'm going to loop him tonight. So he plays the first game. If he goes well, I'll leave him there. So Payne Haas will stay there as well. I get Nanai's score. If he doesn't go too well, I'm potentially going to put Penasini up into the 4 position. They come up against the Tigers, and he's on that left wing that's been really dominant. I think it's probably smarter this week to go for him rather than playing Tuolangi, for example, in that number 4 jersey if things don't work out. I think Ilias will score somewhere between 40 and 50 this week against the Dogs. So I think Penasini will come into that role. If Nano comes out and gets 50 or 60, then awesome. If he doesn't, then I don't lose out and can bring Penasini up. Tuolangi's obviously another option, but he did have the couple of turnover tackles last week, and they are up against the Parramatta Eels. So could be a tough outing for him, even if he's getting the 60 minutes or so. Could be like a 30-ish score, just with how strong that team is, for example. So that's where we're at in my team. 25 trades left, 27 in the People squad, and 26 in the head-to-head team. So both those guys, leaving themselves with a fair bit of cash remaining going into next week, which is really, really nice. And then my team with 13k remaining, one less trade, and not ranked as well. So it is what it is, and this is what I'm going to do personally to try and come back this week is have Cleary as captain, hope for an 80 or 90 or 100 against the Broncos, and have a great week and really dominate and catch up some ranks. So that's the theory. Dylan Brown's up against the Tigers, so it should be a nice one for him as well, I'd say. You got Randall, Ilias, and then we're looping tonight. So team's looking pretty solid. Hoping for a bigger game from Hetherington as well, and then we should be able to do well this week. But anyway, guys, that's the all the videos heading up into lockout. I hope you really enjoyed that and got a lot out of it and learned about the double loop, and see if you can do that this week. If you have Vailea and Haas and some similar players, then you'll be able to set yourself up the same way as me and just go back after these first few games and see what happens, and if you're going to take a score from these guys or not. Jump back in here and learn from this and use that same looping pattern. So as always, guys, please like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next week. Good luck in the next video. Good luck for this week. See you guys.